applaud.
To give you the feedback.
And go, you're the best. And I had to kill harder than anybody else. I
and
remember
you don't need that anymore.
No, I want you to pay me.
Right.
I have a discernible skill, which is to stand on stage and tell stories for over an hour. So
what is your bliss now? What is that thing that...
My bliss?
Yeah, what's your bliss?
My sons.
Ah.
Like just watching them, I have a 15-month-old that's like owning a gorilla. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I've never seen someone that precious be that tough and that, talk about mind expansion, like that making me cool. Like when I first met my wife, I always said, my wife obviously is my bliss. She was my first bliss ever. And I always said when I met my wife, it's like when you're walking, you brought up nature earlier, when you're walking in the woods and you see a deer and you walk, you freeze and you walk, you're conscious of your breath and what's under your feet. You don't want any twigs to snap. You don't make any sudden movements. And you talk. If you talk to the people around you, you sort of just make an eye movement because there's a fucking deer right there. And you know, at any moment, it'll just jog away. So I immediately and effortlessly began to live my life in a way to keep that deer from jogging away. And then that became through, talk about Buddhism and fucking Carl Jung. I realized that was my true self that I never would have gotten to had I not met her.
Right.
There is a quiet, people listening to this will laugh into their receivers.
Right.
But to my friends, my dear friends, there is a quiet guy that can sit, and you and I have only had this relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you go into that house, there's not a peep.
Yeah.
Because people always go, must be crazy. You're backstage at April Foolishness, and like Saget will say to your wife, it must be crazy. And like, I think my wife dies a little bit inside, like, what were you?
Right.
That these people think it's like we're serving Hooters waitresses on, out of our oven. Like, what's happened? Like, I'm like, I don't know. Apparently, I was just batshit crazy and bananas.
Well, and that's what they talk about, the difference between the adaptive self and the authentic self.
Yeah.
The adaptive self is the one.
I was born adaptive in an alcoholic family.
Yeah, exactly. And you did your best to survive it, and then you went out in the culture and you used those skills to get attention and success and all of that. And yet the part of you that really wanted to show up is the part that knows how to be quiet in front of the deer and wants to have that, And
my act at the same time became one where when you go, oh, I got it all wrong, the pauses, stop hitting them over the head.
Right.
It's like I used to just go up and like, I'd fuck the stool and I'm talking about eating ass and just fucking, you're fine. Bam, 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 like fucking kick the shit out of this audience. Good night. Rah! And I remember it was me and Dane Cook at the Laugh Factory and it was like this battle of, he's obviously won.
Right.
He won the war.
The kinetic war.
I might have won a few battles, but Dane's obviously won the war. But it was like, bang, bang, just fucking kick the shit out of him.
Right.
And now I've realized I can accomplish so much more. Like, and you do this obviously in your show from what you're telling me. I'm not going to go, I remember your show. And just taking your time and really telling a story where people are invested in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, so that's my joys is, my wife was the one. Bert Kreischer sat here once and said, I don't think people realize the Tupac that used to live inside you. And it wasn't until your wife gunned him down in Las Vegas that we all were able to tell you how we really feel about you.
Was it scary for you to make the transition in your act? Because that's the public person that you are from this, kinetic,
I had to quit.
Did you have to quit?
I quit for 2 years because I had panic attacks on stage.
Wow.
And I had shed my skin. But to go up on stage, I had to cobble and gather all my skin together and go, remember when I'm still the snake, I'm still the guy. And I said, I remember I was at Brea. I'm going back there. It's so bizarre that we're talking about it. I'm going, what is it, August 24, 25, 26? Yeah. But I was on stage in Brea going, I can't breathe. I have vertigo. I can't see. I'm going to throw up.
Right.
I'm having a heart attack. My thumb, someone's pushing in, I'm being choked somehow.
Yeah, been there.
And I told the audience I have to go to the bathroom, and I just sat there going like, what's happened?
Wow.
And I came home that night to my wife, and she goes, you just stop for a while. And then when you go again, you'll go and you'll just talk with them. You won't be shoving shit at them.
Right.
And your dad, in last words, to bring it full circle, I guess, said, it was so easy for me to do my old act because there was so little of me in it.
Yep. Yeah.
And my old act was all, what are we doing after this? Who's coming home? Who's got the stuff? You got some grass? You want to drink? You want to fool around?
Yep.
The whole show was a show about what can we do after the show. And then I'm in Phoenix watching SportsCenter, jerking off to, Chevy commercials going, this isn't how I thought this. I got a standing O. There should be people here with me. I'm in my jet looking at the skyline without the Coke, but with the 12-pack of Michelob.
Yeah.
So now it's just honest. And I always loved honest show. Like Margaret Cho, when we saw her special, we were like, this is incredible. Yeah. This is someone talking about shit that happened to them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what's weird about your dad is he started his writing, his book was always what happened to him, but then his show, they're essays.
Yeah. He was an essayist.
It's absolutely. A complete, none of this has anything to do with my home.
And I think, you ultimately, as an artist, you either kill yourself or get fulfillment at that crossroads, because a lot of artists find that crossroads where they're like, who am I? I can't do this anymore. And yet I don't know how to get off this fucking treadmill. I don't know how to change. I don't know how to pull back for 2 years. I don't know how to take the risk.
I want the treadmill. Like, I'm ready to go faster. I can go over to this treadmill. Like, you got another treadmill. I've always been like, do you have another treadmill?
Right.
You're going to pay me money to write a book?
Right. Can we do 3 treadmills?
Where's that treadmill? Right. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have to, and you can do as many treadmills as you want, but if you're not doing it from this grounded, authentic place where you know and trust yourself, then it's empty in the end. It's totally empty.
And it changes too, because when you start, you're like, man, I'm just doing films now. I'm not really going to do TV.
Right.
Or like, what? What? Right. And then you get to the point where you go like, well, I'm in my 40s. I have 2 kids and I want a 3rd and 4th and maybe a 5th. Let's bang this out.
Right.
Let's get paid.
Yeah.
Let's all sell out together. That's why I got insane when I saw Pearl Jam at the sports arena. He goes, hey, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Dick Cheney is the world's biggest asshole. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's not around. We talked about Dick Cheney twice. I did. And then Eddie Vedder, I remember, goes, it was just, and this part of a bit I'm cobbling together. I'm not trying it out on you. I'm just telling you exactly what he said. He goes, we're at the sports arena tonight, not at Staples Center. And everybody cheers, and I'm like, wait, you guys knew that when you drove here, right? And he goes, the reason we're at the sports arena is if you look around, there's absolutely no advertising anywhere. And that's beautiful. And I'm like, I just spent $400 to sit in the upper deck with Mexican people. Like, maybe if it said Purina Dog Chow and Miller Genuine Draft present a Starbucks presentation of Pearl Jam, I could have a fucking $80 ticket and sit up front like a big shot. You know what's great about the Rolling Stones? Labatt's Blue brings you Toronto's version of the Rolling Stones. And then by the time they hit LA, it's like Budweiser and the Rolling fucking... Do you like beer? Yeah, well, the Stones will be there too. Because if you like fucking beer, we're serving it at Staples. And the Stones will be there because they like beer. Like, let's all sell out together.
Right.
At the same time.
Right.
There's no shame in that. I'm realizing as you get older. I like keeping it real and all, but keeping it real is providing for...
With a good check in the mail.
Yeah. Carlin Home Companion, where does it go up next? August 30th?
At Santa Monica Playhouse. And then I'll be in Toronto September 21st and 23rd for the Just for Laughs festival there.
Now, the Santa Monica Playhouse? Mm-hmm. That's not a lot of seats. So if we put a link up for tickets, people aren't really going to get them, are they?
There are 75 seats available.
All right. So between when this airs...
And if you go to my website, I think the August link is up there. If not, just go to brown paper tickets and put in Carlin.
What's your website?
Companion. KellyCarlin.com.
How'd you come up with that name for a website?
It took me a long time. I sat down with the whole alphabet and just started eliminating some letters, and that's what was left.
Aardvark, no.
No.
So yeah, there's 75 tickets left for a show that's a month away. It's going to sell out.
It sells out every time.
Yeah.
It always does.
So I just want my listeners that are smart and fun.
So let's make it a Jay Mohr party. Jay will be there.
Yeah.
If he gets a babysitter.
And if you could ask me for my autograph during
the front row
right
during
before
the show. Either
her
my mom
father
dies or mom or dad dies, one or the other.
You know what? I'll give you pick which parent. I'll give you one of the parents, uninterrupted.
Either one. Whichever.
I'll give you the mom because I like the story.
Okay, right. All right.
But right around
when my
the
dad's,
aria.
Right around with the big aria.
Come up to me and go, Slam it! Love you on the Jim Rome Show.
Perfect.
Yo, could you sign my mitt? Bring your mitts, hats, noisemakers, big foam #1 fingers.
Yes.
And any merchandise you got.
Please.
I'll sell baseballs, noisemakers, vuvuzelas.
Keep all of your cell phones on and the ringer high.
Yeah, and that ringer better be Hail Hail by Pearl Jam.
Please.
Hail, hail to the lucky ones I refer to those in love. Aren't you in love with Bob?
I am.
So aren't you lucky?
I am very
hail,
lucky.
Hail, hail. You know, as much shit as I give Pearl Jam, I'll end it on this.
I love his
My
voice.
version, I'll end on this. You can talk as long as you'd like, but I realize you have far more interesting things to say than I do.
That is not true.
The song is called Hail, Hail, and I remember I saw Pearl Jam on Letterman do Hail, Hail, and I was alone in a house up in Willow Glen in Laurel Canyon, and I remember going, this is like a big deal. It's so rare that music translates on television. Mm-hmm. Elvis Costello pulled it off on Spectacle a lot with a lot of his guests. Mm-hmm. Not to belabor a point, but like Rufus Wainwright doing Vibrate with one hand on the piano, you go, who the fuck is this guy? And you just buy the whole catalog. And the Police and him, performing at the same time was pretty rad.
Yep.
And Pearl Jam doing Hail, Hail. And I remember I knew the lyrics because he sounds like a Billy Goat at times. Eddie.
He does, it's true.
Alone in a breakfast table, there was him Hail, hail to the lucky ones. I refer to those in love. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the part I like. Yeah. Are you woman enough to be my man? I dug it.
Awesome.
Well, you like weird way out music.
I do?
Yeah, when I was on your show, you're like, let's play another classic cut of people you've never heard of.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do all independent music because I can't pay the royalties, so I find cool people.
You just sing them mockingly like I do, and then when ASCAP comes after me, I go, I'm doing a parody!
Oh.
Because after you leave, I'm just going to do Van Halen 1 cover to cover.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm just going to stand
nice.
Yeah, I'm just going to do Van Halen in its entirety.
Although I heard you can play any cut as long as you discuss it for 4 minutes afterwards.
Really?
Yes. If you're doing
4 minutes?
Something like that. They've got some actual time on some fucking thing somewhere that says you have to be discussing, analyzing, scholarly discussing the...
I'm very excited to see your show August 30th, but I'll tell you what I'm more excited about. I'm more excited to see what you do after the show.
Me too.
Because I think this show, it's almost a bit, you're probably the smartest person that's been here. You and Proops. But you have a degree in smart. You have a smart person degree.
Proops is damn smart.
But this is probably like almost a vetting, like if you were a hoarder of all stuff dad, like every night you go out on stage and you get a little of the shadow back, and you get to eclipse a bit of the dark with your light.
Yeah, I'm claiming my space on stage. I'm getting stage time. An audience is learning who I am, and I'm giving fans a piece of my dad that they could never have in any other way, and he's not here anymore. And I think it's kind of like in some ways, it's his farewell tour.
So I'm interested to see what you do after this.
Me too.
Because it'll be all you.
Yeah.
Without the Carlin of it all.
Right.
It'll be Kelly.
Yeah.
Not the English spelling.
No. Fuck that.
She didn't swear because I said language?
Yes.
You're adorable. I was just going to ask, my wife and I realized this, and I was just listening to Sirius XM constantly, obviously, and it was your dad's.
Do you listen to Carlin's Corner?
I don't get it on my Range Rover. I don't get Opie in it. I got it for 2 channels.
Yeah.
I wanted Major League Baseball, because I play fantasy baseball, and I like to keep up with what's going on.
It's not in the cars, those new channels.
And well, that's not a new one. That was in my Escalade.
Oh.
And then Opie and Anthony was XM202, and it's Sirius something else. And Ron and Fez, the two favorite shows that I have. Mm-hmm. And I called XM. I go,
aren't they on Raw Dog?
No. I go, this is the only 2 channels I want, and you don't have them. They go, well, you should buy a different car because you obviously have a Sirius and not an XM. I go, but you joined every other channel.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. And then my dad's thing is only on the new devices,
I don't get
not
it.
in
Channel
new cars.
400?
Yes.
See, that's all. I don't get it.
Or you can get it online.
Gorilla. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I've never seen someone that precious be that tough and that talk about mind expansion. Like that making me cool. Like when I first met my wife, I always said, my wife obviously is my bliss. She was my first bliss ever. And I always said when I met my wife, it's like when you're walking, you brought up nature earlier, applaud.
To give you the feedback.
And go, you're the best. And I had to kill harder than anybody else. I
and
remember
you don't need that anymore.
No, I want you to pay me.
Right.
I have a discernible skill, which is to stand on stage and tell stories for over an hour.
So what is your bliss now? What is that thing that...
My bliss?
Yeah, what's your bliss?
My sons.
Ah.
Like just watching them, I have a 15-month-old that it's like owning a girl to their receivers.
Right.
But to my friends, my dear friends, there is a quiet guy that can sit, and you and I have only had this relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you go into that house, there's not a peep.
Yeah.
Because people always go, must be crazy. You're backstage at April Foolishness, and Saget will say to your wife, it must be crazy. And I think my wife dies a little bit inside, what were you?
Right.
That these people think it's we're serving Hooters waitresses on when you're walking in the woods and you see a deer, and you you freeze. And you walk, you're conscious of your breath and what's under your feet. You don't want any twigs to snap. You don't make any sudden movements. And you talk. If you talk to the people around you, you sort of just make an eye movement because there's a fucking deer right there. And at any moment, it'll just jog away. So I immediately and effortlessly began to live my life in a way to keep that deer from jogging away. And then that became through, talk about Buddhism and fucking Carl Jung. I realized that was my true self that I never would have gotten to had I not met her.
Right.
There is a quiet, people listening to this will laugh.